Now, after reaching the 3,000 career snap threshold this past week, is senior offensive lineman Blake Miller. He'll go ahead and question whenever you're ready.
What goes through your mind when you hear 3,000 career snaps for you? Does it make you feel old, or?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it makes me feel old. You know, it's a weird feeling, you know, having guys come up to you for advice and, you know, like even Ross just saying senior offensive lineman, like it feels like it's gone by in the snap of a finger. But, you know, mentally and physically, I still feel, you know, like that freshman, like I still feel, you know, on top of everything. I'm still eager to learn. And then also, too, like body-wise, I feel good. You know, God's blessed me and kept me healthy. So I'm very appreciative for that.
Yeah, just when you talk about some of the changes y'all made at halftime against Troy and the run game suddenly opened up against that second half, just what do you attribute to some of those adjustments that y'all made?
Yeah, I mean, I tried to bring up all the O-line guys and talk to them, and you know, I could tell that there was kind of this, you know, tenseness amongst everyone, and I think that, you know, I just told the guys like, hey, like we know what we're capable of as an offensive line unit. We've prepared, and we know that we're adequately prepared, and that, you know, we just need to go out there and, like I said, I'm like, I want to hear guys when we come off on the sideline not talking about, oh, we need to fix this. I want to hear guys talking about, I just put this guy into the ground, like I just did this, like I hit this dude right in his chin, like, and you know, I think when guys started playing to be physical and not playing, you know, tense, and they were just going out there with reckless abandon, I think that, you know, things started to open up for us, and you know, we started playing a whole lot better.
Do you have any sense of why there was that tenseness there?
I'm going to be honest. I couldn't tell you. I think that, you know, I think that going forward, though, like the mentality that we had in that second half, we need to roll forward. There can't be a reset, if that makes sense. We need to keep that mentality and that physicality and that aggressiveness and that attack mindset going forward into every single week.
I think Coach Green was talking about, like with the pulls and some like counter plays, I guess, being more in sync in terms of timing and stuff like that. Is that one of the main things you guys look back on and say, still have to clean that up, or are there other things?
Like any week, I mean, there's going to be stuff to clean up. I know that was something that he emphasized, and you know, when the coach emphasizes something to us, and we see it on film as well, you know, that's goes very high on your list when the head coach tells you something. So, you know, all of us were talking as O-linemen, we said, like, hey, we need to give him the best looks we can and practice at it, because if we're giving him full speed looks, no matter the period, and, you know, really going out there and playing as hard as we can in practice, like, it's going to be no different when he gets to the game. You hear Coach Swinney talk about you can't let the game speed you up. So I think that as close as we can bring practice to the game, in terms of our physicality up front, it'll give him the most accurate view of it, so there will be no difference when it comes game time.
That's something that Coach Swinney actually talked about as well. It's just that he hasn't seen some of these errors in practice, you know, but it's happening in games. I mean, how do you guys kind of get to the point where it starts to translate more?
Kind of like I was talking about, you know, it's up to everyone physically from a strain perspective, and then also mentally from a, you know, just kind of putting yourself in a game mindset, and also like mentally we're on, you know, second downs, like you in your head transport yourself out on the field and say, hey, it's 2nd and 5 right now, and you know, we need to get half of it back for, you know, 3rd down and be able to do this. Like being able to mentally put yourself in that mindset of, you know, this is a game rep right here. I think that, you know, the physical strain and then that mental kind of simulating it in your head aspect is very important in practice.
Because of the experience with the O-line, the experience coming back with the receivers in camp, there's a lot expected of this offense. Has it kind of surprised you the way you guys have started versus, you know, the experience you have and the expectations?
You know, I think no matter what, at the end of the day, it comes down to execution. And, you know, no matter if we were all freshmen or no matter if we were all seniors, I think that, you know, execution is always a necessity. And, you know, we go on film and we review, and, you know, we see that, you know, we got 10 guys doing the right thing on this play, or we got 9 guys doing the right thing on this play. So I think that there's just going to be, as always, there's that constant push to have every single play 11 guys doing their job with the intensity and the effort and the technique that it requires.
Brayden Jacobs got in a couple of snaps at left tackle, but didn't have, I guess, one of his best performances. I guess as a veteran player, did you pull him to the side and kind of try to help build his confidence up?
I'd say with him, like, I mean, my first game, I remember I walked off the field and I was happy that I just played my first game, but I knew that, you know, I didn't play very good. So I think that, no matter who you are, being in a game is always different, especially as a freshman, kind of having that experience. And if you let the moment be big, it can kind of get you going a little bit. But, I think that Brayden is made of the right stuff. And, he did some things on film as well that, are going to lead to some good football. So with him, I think that just, seeing the things that were good and continuing to improve on those, and then the things that need cleaned up for the future, I think that, he now knows what those things are, and he's had a real-world result of that. And I know that he has the correct mindset, and, he's always asking me, Tristan, Walker, all the older guys questions. So I have no doubt that he'll be, improving.
Another thing Coach Sweeney said is that, trying to theorize why maybe the performance hasn't been great the first couple games. Just he brought up, Coach Saban talks about rat poison and all the positive press clippings you guys were getting coming into the year. I mean, does that resonate with you at all? That maybe you guys were hearing how good you were and it got to your head a little bit?
I personally don't believe so. I mean, there's been times where they've told us, like, going into the season, they told us we were really good. There's been times, like, offensive line-wise, where we've been told that we sucked. It's good or bad. You can never buy into it, because at the end of the day, like, what's written is what we do. So if we want good stuff to be written, it's up to us to go out there and, like I was just talking about, have 11 guys same page doing everything with the effort, the intensity, and the technique that every single play requires.
Going into ACC opener, road opener, just what's the offensive line mentality? You're going to be in a stadium where, third downs are going to get a lot louder than they have the last 2 weeks for you guys.
Yeah. As with any game, communication in the O-line is always very important. So making sure that guys are echoing calls if it gets loud, and then just making sure we're all on the same page, we're ID'd correctly, and then just kind of rolling from there. Like I said, having the same mindset that we had in that second half of attacking going forward from the first minute of the game.
He said he has a defensive guy who loves when he's in the opposing stadium and they're loud. Do you like that as an offensive lineman, or how do you enjoy some of those road games?
I mean, I think for us, no matter where we're playing, standard doesn't change. Whether it's noisy, whether it's quiet, it doesn't really matter. I mean, we got to be, I'm sure you've heard Coach Sweeney talk about it, like we always got to be inside out no matter where we are. We can't let the environment dictate how we play. It has to be, a standard that we play to, and we got to be inside out, can't let the environment affect us.
Anybody else for Blake? All right, Blake, appreciate you, man. Thank you.